Greetings, Care Bears, killers, and every pod pilot in between. Here's your bite-sized weekly dose of New Eden news, tips, and information. The Plex market is currently at around 100,000 ISK per. It's a good time to buy. Warp disruption bubbles still don't exist yet, so get all that autopiloting through nullsec in while you still can. Meanwhile, out in Providence, there's rumors of a 8 to 14 corporation alliance forming, taking over the entire region. That makes them one of the biggest, earliest power blocks yet in the game. And lastly, industrials are starting to make an appearance on the market. Better snag one up while they're still available. This week's recruitment ad is for Garden of the Gods. If you want to see what a really friendly group that has a very well-oiled machine looks like, and you're tech level 5 or above, look up GOTG. Check the show notes if you want to hear your own corp ad here. This week's tips on surviving New Eden is all about warping and you. Warp scramblers, warp disruptors, stasis webs, stability, what all that means. Most ships in the game have a warp stability of 0. Some ships, like the Venture Trainer, have a warp stability of 1 built in. A couple other ships have warp stability of 2 built in. You can also get warp stabilization modules, and each of those adds 1 more. On the other hand, you've got warp disruptors, which are longer range and make you lose 1 point of warp stability. And you have warp scramblers, shorter range, they make you lose 2 points, and they can also turn off your micro warp drive. Basically, if your stability goes beyond 0 into the negatives, you're stuck there. If you are at war, or in low sec, or null sec, and you don't have any stabs, any kind of point will keep you in place. All you can do there, try and outrun them. Get out of range, warp away. If, say, you're in Adventure 2, and you're in nullsec, they would have to use 3 points worth of warp disruption to keep you in place. Most important thing, just don't go AFK, and don't sit at the point of entry on that belt, and you'll be fine. Alright, this week we are talking to EVE Online veteran and industrial enthusiast Valor. How's it going?
It's going quite alright.
So you started in EVE Online and moved to Echoes. What brought you to EVE in the first place?
I very much enjoyed EVE Online. Had so many aspects to it. The fact that if you really didn't want to do combat, you could focus completely on industry. If you wanted to do industry and combat, or just combat, being able to switch professions or following a bunch of them was definitely a selling point to join EVE Online.
And what made you move from the big boy over to the mobile version?
That's a really easy answer. It's simply for the brand new everything. Nobody has giant boom ships. Everybody started from scratch.
No Titans on the field for a couple years. It's kind of refreshing.
It is extremely refreshing that there's a 30-day minimum before you can even get into a battle cruiser. Every single corp and every single person out there is running Decian cruiser fleets to go against each other. No one corp has one single thing that can come out and destroy everybody. Currently, there's very few warp disruptors.
There's one less. I just lost my last warp disruptor earlier today.
That's a sad day when what do they run? About 12 million right now?
Somewhere around, yeah. Up to 15 I've seen.
I mean, the faction ones are currently running 22 to 23 million. It is a lovely, budding environment.
Man, it is nice having everybody on like a level playing field.
You could join today and still not be too far behind people. You can get into cruisers in a matter of days and be on the battlefield.
Yeah, definitely not too late.
I think right now the earliest anybody can get into a battle cruiser is going to be about 18 to 19 days from now, and there's already been some pretty epic battles.
So speaking of those battle cruisers, someone's got to make them. I'm an old pirate. I don't know anything about the manufacturing side.
So currently, right now, my corp is pushing out cruisers, ventures, and decies as quickly as we can get them through the door. We have a pretty decent mining team. We are all waiting for the tech level 7 to open up. I personally have a very large stash of ores waiting for tech 7. Them battle cruisers are not going to be cheap. It's going to be the biggest corps are going to make them first, but that does not mean that they are going to win.
Yeah, when you manufacture these, is that big personal profits or more for the corp, but keeps you flush and ISK?
I personally like to supply the corp. It's a good feeling knowing that every ship I build is going to something inside my corp to be able to control our space.
Do your miners and industrialists also join up in fleets, or you guys do that separate?
Probably my favorite thing thus far is we had a couple of miners get popped up in null. When one person saw this in our corp, he jumped in, said, "Let's roll a fleet." We rolled in on them. There was only one kill, and it sparked peace talks and made an alliance the following day.
That must have been a hell of a kill.
Clerical, but it did the job. They couldn't mine. We could continue mining. We controlled the space. And for about 2 hours, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, definitely. Time spent sitting, spinning in station is time not making ISK.
There was a moment of worry there when they had 17 people all in system, in station, and it quickly became a 19-person fleet versus their 12 because they kept logging off or jumping out of station and leaving.
Well, sounds like you guys are tenacious. I'll give you that.
Keeping our miners safe, our space secure, and ensuring that we keep rolling through our area helps the corp grow exponentially.
Big thank you to Valor for taking the time out to talk with us. We really appreciate it. Kill of the week this week goes to yours truly. Took down a Venture 3 in Y9G worth $22.8 million already. What are you guys doing? If you want to submit your kill for contention for Kill of the Week, check the show notes. That's all for this, our inaugural episode. Tune in again next week, and until then, fly safe.